This conference will now be recorded.
2 p.m. I'll call to order the meeting of the Stoneybrook Advisory Committee. Myself, Joe McCullough is here. J.T. Thomas, Vice Chair, is absent. He's out of town. Janice Lancaster is here. Virginia Stacy is absent. I don't know if she was going to try to call in or she's out of town. I might have thought I saw an email saying she was going to be out of town. Can't make it. Thomas Roller, Warren Davies, Angela Sullivan are all here, so we have 5 out of 7. We have a quorum. And the meeting, I believe, has been properly noticed, so we're good to go. Let's see, this talks about a preliminary budget discussion. Now, most of you don't know what's been going on, but there have been issues about changes that were made to the budget that we proposed. And they added money into that budget without even telling us. Staff, Infomark. And so I've been in contact with Margaret.
Cost-wise.
Yeah, increased it. They added $10,000 to our, I don't even remember what they called it right now. You have
Road sidewalk maintenance was 10,000, and also the reserve was 10. We've always had the 10,000.
We've always had the $10,000 reserve, and we have money in that reserve of over $90,000 right now. And we have not spent everything on the money for the repairs. Because right now we're ahead of budget, and we have money left. And as far as landscaping goes, we have money left. And that's for plantings, not for landscaping per se, like landscape. In fact, we've spent very little of that money. Now, Glenn emailed me, I'm getting off subject here, but Glenn emailed me a request to go ahead with a budget for plantings. And I can't remember seeing a plan for plantings. Does anybody else remember?
No, I don't remember.
So, and I basically told him, I don't do that myself. Such things come before the committee approves them, and that's how we'll notify you that it's approved. I'm not going to give authorization to spend money over the email. So I don't, and Lynn's couldn't make it today because he's in another meeting. I had asked him to leave something for us. I don't see anything weird yet. I got to look around. There's a lot has been going on, especially after the whole budget process and some things changing. And we came up with some expenditures that didn't make any sense. So just to touch upon one was this landscaping bill came in much higher than expended because from Mainscapes had done apparently a lot of irrigation repair, some of which we didn't know about. Some of it apparently we should be charged for, but as far as I'm concerned, what was done around that lift station, we should not. That should be coming out of the 004 budget. Out of the not actually, I don't know if it's a 400 budget or the utility budget, whatever they call that. In any case, so that's a discussion right there. Also saw some invoices that went through for legal, and we were charged for things that Tony billed. He billed them to Gabe. I saw the invoices, and they were allocated to us because a member of the board of supervisors had made inquiries about issues concerning Stoneybrook. Now, in the past, that was tried, and we pushed back, and they reversed it. We should not be paying for legal bills that a board of supervisor or Gateway makes a request to the attorney. That's not us. And if we requested something from the attorney, I agree. That's why we have $1,000 there in that budget, just in case. And we have our own HOA attorney that we can go to for inquiries on legal opinions. So I just want to bring those up. Also, does anybody here, now, other than, Janice, I'm the oldest in terms of seniority here, I've been here, but Janice, you were here before I was. Were you here from the very, very beginning?
No.
Well, that's a mystery. Who was?
Nobody here.
Oh, yeah. In any case, when I came, I came on with Dave Lethal. Dave was going to be the chairman. Virginia might be original, I don't know. And apparently, out of the '04 budget, we have been paying ADT $160 some odd every month. And this has been going on since, I believe, 2009. Now, if you recall, when we did the budget last year, and we looked at the utilities for the gatehouse, I actually made a joke out of it because it looked high. And I said, what are they doing? Just leaving the door open and cranking the air conditioner up or something? Because it was over $3,000. And that's a lot of money for a little tiny building. Well, it turns out that the ADT was being billed through the 04 fund and charged to the gatehouse. And when we were doing the budget, it was included with gatehouse utilities. We did not know it. I didn't know it. I had never seen any contract. I had never participated in any approval to ADT. So we went back. What happened is, we looked at some records, but we don't have a contract in the HOA office. But we went back and looked at it, and there was a company called, I think, DevCon. It was originally, and you may remember that, going all the way back to the beginning. And DevCon was bought out by ADT along the way. Now, this is probably post you. I think it might have been Sherry, Billy, Margaret. They signed a contract with somebody else, who I don't recall. Yeah. And that predates me also. And at that time, I do not know how the ADT pricing bill, whatever, got moved over to the office. I remember us ever doing that, because there was no monitoring being done in the gatehouse. It was in the clubhouse. But that has been getting paid out of here apparently since '09. To the tune, if that's true, $20,000 in total over the period since 2009. You haven't had a reply from ADT, have you, since that initial communication?
No, they were looking into it and they said it looked like it was some type of video or tag reader. It was really a service to handle the data. And they're,
What data though?
well,
Yeah,
they don't know. At the
yeah, I
moment.
know.
They're trying to find out because they took it over from Devco, and then so they're looking into it. But we put in a request, for a refund, and we're sending up a
Do you
letter.
recall what date that was when you put the recall in?
2 weeks ago.
All right.
Yeah.
I would say we'll discuss it. This coming Monday, next Monday, will be the board meeting, and I believe they are going to let people into this one. I believe, I'm not positive.
We discussed this at the budget.
Yeah.
I thought Chris had already, I thought you'd already made that request. But I thought,
Oh yeah, we've followed up 3 different times with it. Yeah. The last time it was, we're kicking it up to senior management to get it approved to see how far back they'll go, but they still don't know where the service was or what it was for. We said, well, was it
They
in
knew
the
where to send the bill.
Yeah, they said, was it in the Stoneybrook clubhouse? Was it in the, and they're like, no, there were 2 feeds to it.
Well, we're going to discuss, update the board on Monday night. And we may get our own attorney involved in that. That's up to them to decide what to do. Send them a letter and put a request in for a refund, otherwise we'll see it in court. Because that's too much money to ignore. And we can document that we've been paying other people to maintain and monitor inside the clubhouse since that period.
I think they would have some kind of contract or something, and at least where the equipment is, but let someone call and repair the equipment, where would they go?
Never mind, did they ever call in a break-in or anything?
Yeah.
We've got
They
calls
don't,
from
probably
other
don't do they have.
And as I recall, Chris, you had mentioned that they couldn't find a contract because the original contract was with that.
Correct.
Well, like I said, they knew where to send the bill.
No, we went through, well, they've been sending that bill, they took it over, took the account from Devco, and they've just been sending it up until
And we've
a
been
month
paying.
ago. No one's
Because if
questioned
it
it.
had been a separate line item, we would have questioned it. The fact that it got into the utility for the gatehouse, and I don't know how that happened. We didn't see it. And I give credit to the new treasurer. He did pick up on it. And the payments made as a separate line item, which we didn't always get that point. We had to request it. And back in the day, if you remember, trying to get information out of Gary was impossible. We never saw it. We would request it, we'd never see it. In any case, I just want to update you on these things that are going on. I think you all know that I've already mentioned at a board meeting about the possibility of doing something with this whole committee and the accounts and the roads, that we should start maybe considering it and looking at it. And maybe working some kind of an understanding and agreement with the board of supervisors. But that's a long way off, I think, because our board has to be sold on that, and I'm not sure everybody here is sold. But this kind of stuff does happen. And we also have to go back to the vendor who fixes the gates, because we have issues with that, because we double paid. There were a couple, and Chris, I think I know what happened with that, how that got double paid, a couple of those bills. If you remember, maybe 2 meetings ago, or maybe it was last meeting, I had brought up, when we pay for the gates to be repaired, I question what happens to the insurance money or when the resident reimburses us for the damage. And Chris had a bunch of copies printed up for us, and I brought it to Shannon, and she did take the time to go and compare those, go down the list to what the history was and what had been reimbursed. She told me that they were none of the ones that got reimbursed. However, that there were 2 that we did pay out of the HOA. So that the HOA paid and we paid for 2 of those repairs. And I don't remember the dollar amount right now. So we got to look into that. But I think I know what happened. I believe that Shannon sent those bills here looking for reimbursement for what the HOA paid. And what we did here was send the check to the vendor. So we got to get that vendor, and we're still using them. It shouldn't be a problem to reimburse us or.
There has to be a
check system.
check and balance system,
Yeah.
because that could happen a lot. Shannon should know by, I don't know when this happened, but she should know what goes where by this time.
Every
Yeah.
time we have turnover in staff of the CAM or of our management company, trying to get them to understand this rather unique relationship and what gets paid and where, and how things need to go through this committee so we can track them and keep track. And this is one that did not.
Is there a way to review the invoices that come in the gateway that is for our 04 account or anything that's going to be billed to us without slowing the system down?
There is a payment schedule that comes out. It's pretty involved. If you remember, I think last year, maybe the year before, I started forwarding to you the documents that I was getting from Sonia at Infomart. And that has a lot of information. It's more than you want to look at usually. But in the back last section of one of those 3 sections of the various documents, it does list the payouts. And the one who went down that list of payouts, and that's how he found ADT was Terry.
I think it'd be, if they can make that a routine thing to send it, even though they go ahead and pay it, that if we find a mistake, that we can correct it. But I don't want to slow down the payment process.
No,
because
it's not slowing down the payment process, and we wouldn't withhold payment. The only things we hold back payment on are projects that we have initiated. And I know that Chris will ask us, are we satisfied with the work? We paid most of the money. We may have withheld some, correct? You agree with that? And then we'll say, yeah, it looks good, let's pay them. And that happened with the line painting and a couple other things. So that's about it. But what happens, and this is what happened with ADT. When we get into reoccurring bills, I just get paid. Nobody really reviews them. And that's even at the HOA.
Yeah, that's a problem anywhere.
Recurring bills just get paid.
I've got a bunch that I pay off one credit card where it all goes. And every month I go down through, check off and make sure I didn't get double paid or stuff on it, because it is recurring. I don't have to do anything other than check it off.
Well,
So
I'd be more than happy, and I do forward that paperwork, those forms and the reports, both to the president and to the treasurer of the HOA. And tip my hat to Terry, he actually did go through and look at it. Of course, they were looking for, God knows
Yeah.
what, but they found that, and that was a good thing, and I'm fine, more eyes the better, as far as I'm concerned.
I have a question.
Sure.
Because I went back through my emails trying to find the way you described it last meeting, like a quarterly type of a breakdown that we should be able to see. Shouldn't this entire committee be able to see that? And maybe every quarter that we do take the time to sit there and just double check it and review it? Because
Well,
I
what
look at
happened,
my emails and I can't find anything that you forwarded to me for me to be able to see that visually.
well, I will do it again. And sometimes what I do, because technically, and I'm sure Chris agrees with me on this, we are subject to the sunshine. And as ridiculous as it may sound, I can't distribute that stuff directly to you.
Okay, wouldn't it be
It's a problem.
easier if, when we came to this meeting, that they were here, then you don't have to distribute anything, that we actually, as a committee, have it sitting out there?
This is, here's the thing, it is substantial, it's a lot of paper. And that's why electronic is the way to distribute that. And cost to the gateway, we don't want to do that, we're not looking to run up cost expenses for that. And sometimes I'll ask that Julie distributes it to you, because it's kind of hard for me to do that, it is a violation. Not that I've ever done it, I'll admit it, but it is a violation, so I'll try to be more conscientious to make sure she gets that on a quarterly basis, because I might even get it every month, if I remember, but which is more than you want to see.
But even if we receive it, we can't communicate unless we're all here together. Wouldn't it be
That's the
better?
limitation, that's correct.
I mean, to be able to check something and.
To be able to look at it,
converse
bring it in
ask
and
questions.
and
Because
discuss.
the last time you asked questions when we were doing the budget before, you would ask for that breakdown. And I think we presumed as a committee that that breakdown was given to someone that was approved. And it was never brought up again. There was never anything handed to us or emailed for us to check that again. I remember you asked specifically, but I don't think we ever received that breakdown unless you got an email, but we didn't. As a committee, we didn't have a chance to double check it. or review it.
Usually if I receive something that I think is important to the entire committee, I normally ask for it to be distributed.
Or can there be one person that's.
And
in
you
charge
do
of
receive emails from here, right? You are on,
Yes.
okay.
But not that one quarterly. We're not
Yeah.
getting-
I will check in on that. What I can do is when I ask her to send it out, I'll ask for verification, if you can verify back to her that you received it.
Okay.
And if she doesn't get something from you, then we'll try to do it again. Are you guys, is everybody else getting that email, the quarterly reports and financials?
No.
You ever see that?
No.
That's what I'm asking. And then I'm
Okay.
thinking, well,
Yeah, I have
we
not.
still need to be able to communicate and have it in front of us to review it, or put one person in charge of checking that, instead of it having to end up going past us and then the HOA, somebody has to catch it. You know what I mean? Somebody needs to be
And
responsible.
I'm gonna agree with you. One of the things that I know, like the Board of Supervisors, when they're sitting here, they have a computer screens in front of them they can refer to. I don't know how much trouble it will be. Maybe we can get those reports up on the screen. I don't know.
Because like you said, you did ask, we never got it to be able to.
I probably did get something. Can't remember a specific time, but I probably did get something. If I didn't, I would have said something. But I just didn't realize that the rest of you did. So. All right, let's go down through this thing here. So a preliminary discussion. Everybody should have in front of you right now the two bid sheets. And I believe this is what's in the supervisor's book for tomorrow night's meeting, is that correct? Okay. I will say this, what I have here and what I'm looking at is what I was looking for. So I really don't need to, hang on a second. I've got two different ones with different numbers.
Well, this is when I pull off the book.
Okay. Let me see. Where'd you get this from?
Off the book.
Yeah, there's one that has, the back one has the 9536 still in it.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
And the 10,000 for road and sidewalk, which should be there. And I had requested, we'll see what happens, because I'm gonna tell you right now, I know that Margaret won't approve the budget that's there, and neither will Kathy. I don't know about the others.
Which ones, which, the 10,000 for
The
the
10,000, yeah.
for the sidewalks?
Yeah.
Where are you
But she
looking?
asked that at the supervisors meeting, she questioned that, and I didn't, she asked me about it, I wasn't aware of that, I couldn't think of anything.
Yeah, she told me that you had said to her that everything was okay.
Yeah, I didn't know what that was about.
And that was added in after we had approved the other one. Here's the one that we approved.
What page are you looking at?
There's only 2 pages.
Well, I got 3.
1, 4.
I got 4, but don't.
Let's go to the first page of the fiscal year 2021 operating budget. I've got 2 different versions in front of me right now.
Yeah, I'll go double check on that, but I thought, like I said, that one was a 4,500, but it looks like the 4,500 was made, but the 10,000 stayed in there. You're saying that was supposed to be pulled out too?
Yeah, that was in my request. I had stated that in a letter both to you and to Stephen.
Well, the page 3 or page 13, well, that's the same that I took off the thing there, has the same budget, it's just 21 budget, but it has the changes in it. Page 3 of the big sheets.
Are you confident that wherever you pull that off is what actually went?
It's in their board book.
Yeah, if
For
it's in
tomorrow
the,
night.
that's in the board book, I
Yeah.
can pull that
I
too.
printed it off today from the board book.
You know, I mean, and that has the 10,000 gone and it's at 4,500 for
Yeah.
the salaries.
And
Okay.
page 3 of those big sheets there that has fiscal year 2021 operating budget 004 is the same thing. The front one I have here is not, I don't know where that one comes from, there's no numbers on it. But page, the one on the bottom page says page 13 on
Yeah, I'm
page
looking
3.
at that.
That's the same one that's in the board book. So, that would be the one that you'd want to take a look at, because that's the board book.
Yeah, the 2 big questions right there. And then this allocation for Stoneybrook that I have in front of me, page 30, that's been reduced to only 2 5%.
Yeah. 5% for administrative assistant, 5% for receptionist, 5% for public works, and 5% for natural resources.
And that's not here.
And this one is it.
And that's not here. Look at it. And that's my point.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
Where?
right here. For Stoneybrook,
I don't have to mark it. I'll look at it.
right down there. 2 in the top one and 2 and the 2 there under operations.
I see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this tomorrow, unless changes are made, I don't think the budget's gonna get approved.
Let's see, are they gonna approve the budget tomorrow?
Yeah, but they're approving the Hive mark and then you have
Yeah,
July
no, you can go backwards.
and August and go backwards. Yeah, that's what I was saying.
Now, they're gonna have the public meeting for the budget in next
August.
month, August.
August will be
Okay, so
the
the budget
final
isn't
approval.
totally approved until August. after the
Correct.
public.
Yeah, but let's face it, when it gets to August, it's basically.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, there could be some, well, tomorrow night, they're supposed to decide which methodology they're gonna use.
And like I said, right now, what they do is they're just approving the high water mark. And after that point, the only thing you can do is go down. But then you have all of July, they'll have 2 more budget workshops to look at fine tuning. And that's why I said, you know, if there's an issue here, you still got 2 more chops at it.
Well, that's maybe what's going down.
That could be a good argument tomorrow for methodology, but they're working on the numbers.
But I will say that Kathy called me up before I even, let anybody know, when I saw the adjustments that were made, that hit me. And Kathy called me up asking, what were we doing?
Yeah.
And I said, I know, there are things there that I was not happy about, like the change, and that's not what.
I don't know.
One of the things I thought we forgot to do, and it's probably some of the increase before 29 of the 46, is that, a big increase. 20 grand, 27 grand, and that increase there. And I think there was something else that we didn't include. Now, the tax collector property appraiser discount, we all know that's for the 4%. And that did go up because of the large. But all right.
So the only two items that are contention is the salaries need to stay at
The salary
4,500.
and everything that is based on that, that's underneath there. All those numbers would be essentially based off the salary. Because that caused a big increase in that particular line item.
All those, the 4 positions that we have, the 5%, they're all filled right now. All 4 of them are filled. Well,
Yeah,
affected next year if you get your business manager and your,
No, because there's no business manager or anyone else assigned to Stoneybrook.
No.
So, like I said, the 4,500, we can bring that, and then the 10,000, just pull that out if he hasn't done it already.
What does the public works manager do specifically for Stoneybrook?
That's a good question, but the public works manager takes care of all the drainage, sidewalk, and roads. So they may be looking
But
at
isn't it, all right, sidewalks and roads.
and stormwater drainage.
And I'm looking at stormwater drainage. Now, stormwater drainage is in every community.
Right.
Everybody has that, not just Stoneybrook. How much they pay for that? Besides the money they pay in their basic dues, basic annual fees.
I don't think any of them that have a committee, there's any other.
But that's not my point. Nobody else is getting charged for that besides the 2 with accounts, separate accounts. And we do pay for that in the, it's gonna be over $600 now. Taxes, annual taxes. That's where that should be coming from. I don't see it. To me, that's double dip. We're paying twice. That should not be an 004 item.
you're thinking our assessment's gonna look over 600?
Yes.
What number do they use? The total revenues or the special assessment levy?
I can't answer that because what they're doing is they're looking at making a lot of changes.
Well, yeah, I'm just saying here, because the special assessment levy is 456,000, then you minus the tax collector,
Right,
you come out with
that's
438. So come out with the 438 times 778, that's $563.
For us to the 004 budget.
Yes,
For that
yes.
money. Now, I'm talking about the 001 will be over $600.
We will be under the new methodology. Where's my little sheet? I was working on that today. And, yeah, I think
Does
it's
everybody understand what we're talking about here?
No.
the new methodology. We will pay for a single family home $672.53 plus $81.58 for debt reduction. And then our roughly $86, I caught that number.
560,
That'd be, our tax for Gateway would be $1,340.
which is a big increase.
It's $161 difference.
And a big increase over the previous year.
So that's the way I was knocking the number.
And my point is
That's probably right.
that amount really should be paying for this.
If
public
we,
works program.
Well, and the only thing I don't know the history of it, but for several years, that's been assigned into Stoneybrook, and it
They
maybe,
probably shouldn't have been.
well, it depends on, I don't know what the logic was, but we also, our natural resource person, our public works people aren't going behind, we don't have large swaths of irrigation and sidewalk and that in other communities. When it's behind the gate, or if you go into Eagle Point, we don't go back there and mess with their roads or their sidewalks, or their irrigation systems or,
No, I won't disagree with that, but at the same time, if that was all they did, I'd say, yeah, you get a point, but it's not. And I'll say it again, we pay the full boat that everybody else in this community pays for. Let me ask the question in this hypothetical. If the board of Stoneybrook decided, yeah, we're agreeing, we're gonna take over the roads. We're gonna operate them, we're gonna finance them. What happens to these people? Do they get eliminated? Do they get paid less money? Or does everybody else have to pick up those costs? Because they're still there.
Well, they probably would still be there. You're only talking about 5% of their time.
Yeah, I know. 5% of their costs.
Yeah, we got plenty
Time
of
is
things.
up in the
Yeah, we got plenty of things
Well,
to
yeah,
do on Gateway
time.
Boulevard and other places. And if we didn't need them, we wouldn't have them working there.
But you understand what I'm saying? That's incremental. And the admin, the receptionist, who is our admin, by the way?
Well, we only have 2 positions that support the committee in there.
And
So you're really talking Julie and Vicky, because they're the ones that do the administrative report
Julie
and
and
post,
Vicky.
and post the agendas and do all that.
We pay 5% and Pelican pays 10%.
That's because Pelican pays nothing else. Pelican, everything that Pelican pays, we've had this discussion before it goes into the 002 budget. Then they determine, that's why they got $4 million. Then they determine how much is going to be charged against that 002. And in the past, those things were mostly 5%. The people they were paying less than $50 per door when you sat down and looked at the total dollars, the number of residents. But they do more than we do. They maintain a lot more things than the rest of the community. I'll say that. But the fact of the matter is that they don't pay anything directly into the 001. It is after the fact billed against the 002. And right now, they're using a 10% figure to charge Pelican 002 to put it into the 001, which is a big increase, and I know they're not happy about it. But that's the reason it's hard, because they don't pay the other $600 like we do separately into the 001. Everything they pay goes in 002. And they pay dues on top of that to the committee, so what it charges. So I don't know that number.
And overall, and these are just breakouts of salary according to allocations on the staffing plan to the, Parks and Rec, water management, different areas too. But on the district's administrative overhead, they're assigned 14% of that cost.
Yeah, me too.
Anybody have any comments or thoughts on this?
I have a question on the very front page because they're not highlighted. What were the 2 figures that are supposed to be corrected on the last page? Was it 10,000 under the roadway services?
We feel there was no reason for that to be there.
And what was the other one on this page?
On this page was payroll. And everything based upon labor burden based off of that payroll number.
Okay, and then the 10,000 we didn't do, somebody else put that in there.
That's correct.
And then the payroll, how did that number get changed?
A reconsideration, that's part of this whole 5% thing that we're talking about. I assume that's where that number is generated from.
And which number exactly got changed? Just across payroll salaries?
Everything from salaries on down in that category, plus all those other, what we would call labor burden, is based upon that salary.
Everything but engineer fees, terminal fees.
Yeah,
And that's changed on, supposed to be on the back page so we can compare them or not?
no, that's not exactly, it's 2 different ways of presenting the numbers. the 5% is a guideline, and then I guess after they determine whatever it is, we're approximating what that 5% will become.
I'm just trying to compare, I guess, to what we did last month, so we don't have. The question I'm asking is, what number did we have there previously?
4,500. I'm looking at that right now, and the total in that total operation administrative services was 7,500. We eliminated the engineering fee, we left $1,000 for attorneys. And,
But the budget as being presented tomorrow night is 9,500.
right. This is what we approved, and then what they presenting is, well, I'm sorry.
They put
I
that
have
in.
the old numbers that we approved in front of me right now,
Which one of these got been presented to the board
the
tomorrow?
higher one.
And they put the engineering fees.
Chris's point to that is that you can't go up once it's presented, but you can go down. So then the battle becomes to convince the board of supervisors, those additional ones should be paid.
So the one that says 13 on the bottom is the one that's being presented.
13, I see 15, 418.
Oh, sorry, page.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
What page is
Page 13 is the one.
the one?
Grab my board book.
Yeah, you've got another one, which is the staffing plan, this is the large page. You've got another large one that shows the bottom. So at this point in time, that's the issue we got to bring up with the board of supervisors.
And the issues are going to be what that you're going to bring up?
Whether or not the payroll should be as high as it's been put in there for. And we should be paying for some of those things if we're paying for them twice.
For paying 5%, that's a low number. Because if you go 5% of what they're, it would be about $13,000 instead of 9,500.
Yeah, from a
That's based on their total salary, all the benefits and stuff.
Well,
Just what's
benefits and
listed on
everything.
On that
If you
one
want to
sheet.
include benefits and everything, then that's a $15,000 number.
That's what?
Oh, what's less than 13?
Yeah.
13.
Take the attorney and engineering.
Well, we removed the engineering, that's back in.
Yeah, they put it back.
We put it back. And I'm not sure why. And I don't even know where they're projecting 500 for the second half. And I don't even know where that's number coming from.
Well, Margaret was on the phone when we were doing this.
I know, and she's as upset as I am.
But somehow when you sent that to Stephen, it didn't make it into the budget edits, and also it's done at the last minute.
Yeah, I know, because
Yeah, so.
this whole thing with the way everything's operating, is slow and cumbersome like that.
Yeah, and this can be done in an administrative change. We'll just pull the 5% out, be done with it.
And you're probably right.
But if you-
And that 10,000, I don't think it's necessary. I'm not sure why that was put in, because we already have, that's one of the reasons we put that 10,000 at the bottom. Well, the way it is for that kind of purpose.
Out of that road sidewalk maintenance and repairs, that's where we do the maintenance on the sidewalk on Pebblebrook. I wonder if someone didn't decide, well, let's put 10,000 because they're talking about doing it twice. That would be pretty close to the cost it would be to do that sidewalk twice. I think the cost right there was $37.85 roughly, and then to do it twice.
Oh, you're talking about for cleaning?
The roadside maintenance and repairs got 10,000.
Yeah.
And it was, last year was what? It was 4,000 last year. So that would get it done twice on Pebblebrook, but I think we decided we weren't gonna do it twice, didn't we?
That was, one of the reasons was that we asked them for a price if we did it twice, and there was no consideration. I thought maybe he'd come down a little bit. Because it's easier to do if you're doing it twice a year than if you're doing it once a year. But he didn't.
Then we discussed doing all the sidewalks, and that was
That's being ridiculously high. And the review of our documents
Yeah.
showed that we are not responsible.
No question.
In any case, this right now is what it is, and we'll just have to go.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, I'll say it again, we got at the bottom, revenue reserve, 10 grand, going into the budget there. And on the balance sheet, when I looked at it, I think the last balance sheet I saw was $99,000. We needed to draw in. We just need the approval of the board of supervisors to allow us to do that. Now, it's my understanding, Chris, that anything under 10,000, you have the authority to approve. Is that correct?
Yeah, I can write a purchase order for it.
So you're gonna be there tomorrow?
It is my intent to be there tomorrow, just to get the 2 cents in and make sure that those I have not talked to are aware of the fact that we have issues here and that. Take a look at this.
Good luck.
And I'll be perfectly blunt, I'm getting pressure from the new board, which may sound a little bit odd because really they have no authority over us.
What kind of pressure?
About things that have the amount of money that building up, they think we do whatever we want, and we don't, you know. And, well, that's some of the misconception. In any case, so they're looking over our shoulder.
I saw them all on the call-in meeting. They were all on that list of wants.
You got it.
See, they, tell me, didn't they, Chris, at the last meeting, supervisor meeting last week, they approved the methodology. And they were coming back this week to determine if they were gonna go forward with the methodology, this budget or next budget.
Correct.
Well, it don't seem that way when you look at all the stuff.
No, they haven't approved the budget.
Yeah.
The budget is there. And again, that's a high water mark,
Yeah.
so they can only go down, and then whether they have that methodology, because if you adopt that methodology, you're gonna be going up, taking the multifamily units down $128, and you're gonna be adding $55.79 to every single family home as part of that methodology.
And I figured after, for us, for a single family home would be 672 plus the debt reduction thing they have on the bank, which is $81 this
Right.
year. So by the time you add our roughly 586 onto it, our tax for a single family home is going to be 1340 for Gateway. Up from 1179 last year.
Yeah, I think that the high-end budget goes up $60 or like $450 a month, something like that. Compared to last year.
Yeah, it's,
So about the same as the methodology would add. They still might bring it down a
I
little
think
more.
the big problem with the methodology is that they're trying to make up for 30 years of not doing anything. And that, to me, that's where they're wrong. You know, they should take it incrementally, and why they did, and they need to set up a policy that they're going to review this every year or every 5 years or something. So there's something in place to do that.
Well, you would have to review it every year because land uses might change, sales may change, commercial
Yeah, that's
occupancy
true.
may change. Something that was a little retail store or a little warehouse pack and ship might turn into a restaurant, and then it totally changes the
Now, that's what,
generation.
when you look at where the tavern's at, it's owned by R&R Trade. And that's going from 554 a year to 23,000 something a year. So that it's Joe, can't look at the numbers. And that's going, and there's about 10 different stores in that plaza. So all their rents are gonna go sky high to pay that, you know?
This is Bobby's Plaza over there?
Yeah, tavern, yeah. wrap and wrap trade.
Yeah, that's what happens when you have, and it's more, if he looked at it, he would, look at what the use is or
And
how many cars are coming in and out, that kind
Yeah.
of use, but,
Like, I can't believe he's not been up here.
well, it's, and I'll tell you what, I have personally handed
Yeah,
this to him.
I've heard that. You
2
mentioned that
times.
before, yeah.
And probably what happened, he realized he was getting away cheap all those years and doesn't want anybody looking too much going backwards.
Well, that's a big chunk though, especially after this year where he's been closed for so long, for, 3 months closed.
Explain to me how Gateway Greens Golf Course is going down.
Because they did away with all the lakes. They took all the lakes off the assessment.
They do it by acreage, and it's
Yeah.
also the stormwater's
took all
being
the lakes out.
calculated on impervious surface, so your parking lot and your clubhouse space. And before it was an acreage calculation too, based with the lakes included on the golf course, but the golf courses aren't impervious surface. They aren't generating
Yeah.
stormwater.
The golf course is going down 38,000 a year in assessment.
Yeah, and the Pelican one, 24,530
Now, they're going down or going up?
down.
Oh, okay. So, and that was the question.
So we're all paying for that.
And the reason that the gentleman who did the assessment said that the reason for that, taking the water out of it, is because the lakes are part of the Gateway flowway. So that goes out that way. So it's because of part of the Gateway flowway. That's what he mentioned the other day. Of course.
Besides the tinkle.
Well, yeah, and I mentioned that, they do get a benefit out of it by they get, I'm assuming, free irrigation for their golf course, but they take it right out of the lake, and Mr. Tinkle made it very clear that they have a permit for 570,000 gallons a month or a year,
Yep.
a month, to do their golf course from the lakes.
And to be accurate, they don't have a permit. We have a permit.
Well, yeah, that's right. Remember, he said that.
And
He said that.
and we're getting ready to.
Then where is the agreement that they can do that? Then? You have the permit, is it specifically
No, it's
for
just
that?
when they originally did the irrigation permit for all in Gateway, the golf course was part of that permit. And so there was a surface water withdrawal, and there was also 5 irrigation wells in that system and a pipe that went over to the golf course. And it was all a developer system, and that was their jewel to sell houses here first. So it was all under one water use permit. Well, due to the cost of pumping and electricity and maintaining those wells for almost 20 years, they didn't use them. They relied totally on the surface water in the ponds and withdrew from there. 5 years ago, when we had the last drought, they got real concerned because the lakes were so low. The water was right at their intake level. And when the new golf course owner came in, he sent me a rather terse letter saying, where is our well supply and our backup irrigation? And blah, blah, blah. And then a few days later, I got a call from a consultant that said, yeah, the golf course hired me to look into these wells and reestablishing them and what we need. And he goes, but they're yours and it's your permit. Why is he calling us? And I said, because he doesn't know. And I told him we didn't have an agreement with him. And if he wanted to show me a legal agreement or where he was a customer or Gateway, I'd be happy to talk to him otherwise. And we've since spent some money rehabbing one of these wells. We're working on a second one, but not for the golf course. We want to keep those permits alive so we can have backup wells, because this day and age, you can't get permits for shallow wells like that.
Mhm.
You just can't. So we want to establish them and keep the permit alive. We've already had a meeting with the district, but then we're going to tell them your surface water permit, because we report that for them and we have to do water quality testing quarterly. And we're just, here, you can have it, because we don't want anything to do with it.
That's what I was going to say. Now that it's actually a private entity, not, I guess, how it was listed before, because it was owned by the residents,
Yeah.
but now it's totally private. Could you not say, okay, you're off our permit, you get your own permit to use that water?
That's what we're going to do. We're going to combine the well permits for those wells. We already had a meeting with the district, combine it onto our permit and that surface water permit and that side, transfer it to them. And
Okay. My biggest concern about that is that the rest of us are gonna wind up paying for that, and I shouldn't have to worry about that.
What, the golf course?
Well, the golf course is water in that pump, but that was a concern at one time, the way we first heard about it.
Yeah, well, the golf course pays for their surface water pump and absorbs that electrical cost. The only cost we have is, once a month, we pull a meter reading from it. Quarterly, we pull about $40, $50 worth of chloride samples for it. So it's costing us $400 or $500 a year.
Okay.
The
But if
Southwest
we were to-
Water still controls that, well, basically somehow controls that.
Permit.
Yeah. And they have to file a report every month showing how much water they've used to
Yep.
Southwest. Okay.
I'm gonna pass something over to you. Take a look at the orange line. I think it's an error, a typo.
Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't want my fingerprints on.
Yeah.
$2,800.
Well, that's probably for our utility poles along Pebblebrook, but it says gas, and I want to make sure that got allocated properly.
If it's actually gas, we have gas and we use it for the pool heaters.
I'm aware of it. I was part of getting working with Sibrod Senior on that project.
Yeah.
Help them sell it. But the fact is that it says gas there. I just want to make sure I'm not paying somebody's gas bill, that's all. Even though the identical amount that's paid for electric in previous months there.
Yeah, it looks.
Would you say typo?
Yeah,
That's what I'm
2-1,
thinking.
yeah, I don't know why, yeah, but this says FPL Energy Services, the other.
Well,
one
that's who
pays-
does the billing for the gas, believe it or
Right,
not.
yeah, Florida Power and Light.
Yeah. There's 3 entities involved with the gas.
Yeah, it's the
There's
same
our
amount,
People's
same
Energy,
amount.
Eco, and FPL does billing, and I've never understood that, but.
Well, also when they did their projection on saving all this money on the cost of the gas versus electricity, the franchise fee is as much as the gas. So when they said, here's the cost of the gas, you should have doubled it because that's the actual cost of it. But,
A franchise fee?
yeah,
Because we just
yeah,
gave,
but the billing account codes are the same, so why they are having.
yeah, it's probably a typo. Let's check, I'll make sure. All right, so ADT, we'll bring that up and discuss it at the board meeting, and maybe they want to refer to that through the HOA attorney to discuss.
Yeah, we should have a answer back in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, it will take easily that long before they do anything anyway, so.
We paid the bill through Gateway, or it was being paid through.
Well,
HOA?
ADT was getting paid through Gateway, unbeknownst to us.
Okay.
And
So why is the HOA involved in getting their attorney involved?
I think the HOA inevitably is gonna have to get involved, because we're gonna have to show that we're paying somebody else for monitoring on our security system. And,
But the money wasn't coming from them.
I agree.
So I wouldn't be that comfortable with their attorney handling it. If the money comes back, it's all gonna come back into here.
And right now they haven't denied,
Huh?
they haven't denied our requests for repayment.
Mhm.
Can I ask a question that's irrelevant to some of this you said about the ADT? Did they check the monitors in the evening at the pool? Nobody,
We
Do
haven't
they?
used ADT.
or whoever, does somebody?
There is monitoring at, if there's a trouble code set. If something is, they monitor. I do not believe there's anybody checking our cameras right now. Nor there has been for a very long time. That's not happening.
Well, when I was at the ARC meeting yesterday, I
Mhm.
couldn't believe what I was seeing at the pool. That's why I wondered if he's monitoring them.
That's mostly for going back after hours, if we want to look at what's something going down, but otherwise, those cameras only show in the, on the screens in the office. Now, whether or not somebody on the board can access those cameras, I'm not sure. That's something we could ask.
Because what I saw going on was totally disgusting, and there were kids there that shouldn't not be observed.
Yeah, I heard about that earlier. That's why I'm chuckling.
Okay. I don't know anything about it. We'll talk about that if you want after, but I don't know anything about it. All right, so
I want to see. the
preliminary
video.
budget, we got to work on that. If anybody wants to come down to some of the meetings here, to make our case, and maybe some of the board members will, I don't know. And that's about all I have. Does anybody else have anything? Any committee member requests?
No, good luck tomorrow.
I think if someone wants to brush up on what's going on as far as the methodology is concerned, if you go on the Gateway website and go to the meeting, they've got a copy of the executive summary of that whole thing and some other information on that most of it you can understand. A lot of it, I don't have the PhD necessary to some of the words, but I did get a lot from Russ when he was here last meeting. I had some questions and stuff, and he was able to answer, and whether you agree or not, at least he was able to answer the questions and why they went the direction they went.
So what meeting was that?
Board meeting.
And
The public
it
meeting.
wasn't physically, you were.
I was here.
Oh, you were here?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize that meeting was open to the public.
Yeah, it was a public meeting.
Okay, yeah, but I mean that you could physically.
Well, you could go either way.
Well, we had social distancing out here, and we had a large screen TV and sound out in the back, and then chairs spread out in the back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
They had it set up.
and you could ask from back there and speak?
Well, what we were doing is if somebody wanted to speak, we'd bring them in,
Oh,
and they could speak to the board.
Okay.
But that way you could see where they were in the meeting. We could call them and say, come
what's
on.
gonna happen tomorrow?
Same thing.
It's the public meeting, and for more comments, I know there's going to be probably more comments tomorrow, and they're trying to make the decision on the methodology, and if they're going to use the new methodology in the 2021 budget, or they're going to stay with the current methodology for one more year. Give people an opportunity to prepare for it.
Yeah, and we'll
Prepare,
do this.
review, and have an open discussion, which is unnatural.
Yeah, it'd be a public meeting, you can talk, I know there's some people gonna make a presentation, and I think the thrust is to maybe move it on a year instead of getting right now, because, some budget, they're gonna be due in, the tax stuff can start being paid in November, so they'll be out, so it can be tough for some people to.
Absolutely, and it's a substantial increase now, and we've had some of the substantial increases we have had.
Yeah, and I say, I think we'll get a good indication come July 1st when the HOA assessments are due, how many people don't pay right off the bat too on those HOA assessments. I don't know how many people in Stoneybrook have been laid off or not working or whatever. Maybe nobody, it might not be a problem.
Especially now that we are paying for cable through that,
Yeah.
which jumped it up, and that makes it a bigger number now.
Yeah.
Even though we saved the money, but it is a bigger number. It was one of my concerns when we proposed the whole project. And also one of my concerns if we were ever to take over the roads, because then we no longer have the taxation workforce. And banks can't get away from taxes.
Depends on the deal we can make with Gateway.
Anybody else out there?
No, we're gonna be ready tomorrow to have some people in the back, but it was a little disappointing because as much as we publicized that last hearing, we had the same 5 people sitting here and all those chairs we had in the back and the monitor, and we spent $400 having someone bring in.
Oh, yeah, that's probably more than you want.
And that was a big issue with one of the board members, was that everybody seems to be really concerned about it, but nobody shows up to say anything. So how are we supposed to know that, and it's going on? And
Every HOA has the same.
oh, no, yeah, no question, no question.
Everywhere.
But I'm saying that was a big issue that they made, because if it's so important to everybody, how come there's nobody here to talk about it?
Well, part of that too, the consultant was supposed to have that report done in January and have 3 or 4 months to vet it. And he finished it at the end of April, and it was May 7th till there was an acceptable
And it
version.
has been an unusual situation.
It's been in operation, they've been doing it since September 2017.
I'll tell you right now, we haven't been to a restaurant yet, even though they're open up, probably won't for another month. Let's see what's going on. So I always forget this. Next meeting, July 8th. Anybody have a problem with that?
What day is it?
July 8th is Wednesday.
All right, Tom, do your thing.
He probably doesn't know.
3 o'clock?
So if that's okay, we'll make that July 8th. then. And if something becomes a problem before that, All right, so Chris, you're gonna look into those charges with the lawyer?
Yeah, I'll ask Tony and I'll look into the lift station.
The lift station one, the others are probably yes.
Yeah, but I'll go through all of them and get an
Yeah, but yeah,
explanation.
don't kill yourself, because I think you're right.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it's completely unrelated. I guess it's for Chris. But these blue reflectors on the roads by the fire hydrants,
Correct?
are they required by law to be there?
believe so.
No, that's an interesting question because we've had some discussions with South Trail about that recently. And originally the fire departments put them in. And then they're like, well, they're your fire hydrants. And they had a fellow at the cities, somebody sued him because the guy said on his bicycle, he hit him and it caused him to wreck. And they're like, well, it's out in the middle of the lane.
Yeah.
what's he doing out
He's
there?
got 3 feet from the edge.
And the fire department basically said the suit has no merit. They're trying to just fight it, saying the guy can't even prove that's what made him fall. But we got into that, what kind of reflectors, wedge-shaped reflectors. And the fire captain said, well, they're your hydrants, so they're your reflectors. He goes, we really don't care about them. I said, what do you mean? He goes, it's all on GPS on a screen, the hydrants there. The guy can see and it's telling him you're 100 feet, 50 feet, 25 feet, stop. There's the hydrant. He goes, even if it's covered by a bush. He goes, those things are outdated. They're no longer useful.
If such a law exists, it probably is old one before GPS.
Right.
But there are a lot of them that are missing. I just want to know whether that's a concern or not.
No, that's why we were talking about, do we need to maintain them? Do we need to do anything with them? If we bought new ones, do you buy the wedge shaped ones facing one direction so they don't, somebody doesn't hit it in that lane of travel? And they're like, we don't care, because like I said, all their fire trucks, all those are mapped on their GPS system.
Well, on the highways, we're on Gateway Boulevard. Isn't that now a county road? Why would it be our responsibility?
Well, that's kind of a misnomer because the responsibility for the county is purely the pavement. Gateway, in their infinite wisdom, kept the landscaping and the trails and the irrigation system and the signage and everything else related to it. The only thing the county took over is the pavement. So if those beautiful oak trees where the roots are starting to corrupt the pavement, we'll be going in there and repaving and paying to protect those trees and trim the roots back. And it's getting ready to become a very expensive identity to maintain.
Yeah, and that was our commissioner that lives in Gateway that pushed to keep those trees. Meanwhile, they're happy to take down the palm trees.
I have a question.
Yeah,
Just driving up and down Pebblebrook the past couple of weeks, I noticed it's like, okay, there's 2 dead hedges, 2 dead hedges, drivers, 2 dead hedges. There was like so many little sporadic ones because I was driving, I couldn't keep track of them. Who is in charge of doing like a walkthrough to go, we need to put 2 back there, they've been dead.
well,
for
it used to
6
be
months.
L, and right now, and I will say this, and Glenn communicated to me with an email. And I responded to him and said that, you got to present it to the committee. And then he couldn't be here today. I mean, he just did this a couple of days ago.
Right.
And he's got a proposal to do something, but honestly, I haven't seen it. So I don't know, but I believe it's along that line. I know I had requested to trim down on the corner of Pebblebrook and Greenstone to get that trimmed down. Because for people making the left-hand turn onto Stone Valley, you couldn't see cars coming and they don't have a stop sign.
Yeah,
And they did, they cut it way
Yeah,
down.
I submitted a request about a week before they did it. And I was out there monitoring, because the guy was cutting it, he was cutting around the edges. I stopped and said, hey, gonna cut the top too, right? He's, oh yeah, we're gonna bring it way down. It looks good, it really is. I mean, even when it blooms, they just gotta keep it down.
It grows fast.
That's coming back up.
Yeah,
But it is way down and visibility is much
yeah,
better.
it makes a big
And
difference.
the easiest way to do is just send it to customer care because that creates a work order. And even those hedges, instead of talking about it, send it and then they'll look at it and that work order will end up on Glenn's desk. And then he would say, okay. And then
So,
That's the easiest way to get
when
things
said that,
done.
Was it basically, was it a breakdown of like,
I never saw it. I said I never saw a breakdown.
Oh, you never saw?
No,
Okay.
that's why I
Okay,
requested.
anything without breakdown. that's what Elle used to tell us. She would-
Yeah, I know what we needed. She'd come in and tell us. And I asked him if he could, if it was available or to maybe submit something to Julie to send to us. And if he does have something, then maybe Julie can email it out to us, because I have not seen it. I don't know what he's proposing. So how do I approve
What
it?
was the
Probably just-
And
amount?
I wouldn't want to approve it myself anyway. It would be,
What was the amount that he put on there? You just, there was an amount?
I don't know.
Oh, you don't, okay, there's. Okay.
I haven't seen the
So can
proposal.
we request him to be at the next meeting so we can kind of get on this? Because
Well,
those
maybe-
hedges have been dead for over 6 months.
Well, that could be, but now's a good time to plant if they're coming into the rainy
Right.
season. So sooner maybe it's better, if we can get some idea.
So can we request him to be here so we can go over that next meeting
Well, if we'll just get the proposal here.
with a
Do you
breakdown?
have it?
I don't know. I imagine he probably asked Mainscape for one and they've given him one, or he'll get one in the next few days.
Okay. But he was looking for an approval for me to go forward, like, to say it was okay. And
Well, if you don't have his
the way it looked to
proposal.
me anyway, I read his email.
Joe has a little bit of power, but he don't have that much power.
I just didn't know if I need to go out there and put little flags. I got all these little flags I can put two there.
I don't think it's necessary. Necessary. And
It's also-
Kathy used to drive around with Elle, they would look at it, but I think it would take Elle's taking up too much of Elle's time. Although she did go up and down Gateway also, they used to maintain.
Well, that was what my question is what's the process? We have to wait for Glenn to be here to go
If you
over?
see something getting done, what Chris has just said, put a little request in, put a, a
I don't even know
suggestion.
how to like mark a location where there's like, other than going, I can go out there and put, 20 little flags.
Or you
and
could
go,
just say the dead hedges. It's pretty obvious. We go out there.
Drive
and
them
see
down
it.
and let them look at the hedges, be
Yeah.
that specific. I don't think you have to absolutely locate, unless there's a serious spot problem that's specific.
No, it's just, one or two here and there, but I did notice.
Some of it is the kids cutting through too, let's face it.
And I think that, we've talked about it here before, but the quickest way to get anything done is just send it to customer care or go on their website and hit that thing. I've reported a lot of different, and I've gotten good response
Okay.
really quick, because like I think Chris said, as soon as they get that, they write up a work order and they give it to whoever's in charge, so.
Yeah, the system has evolved to be that sort of thing.
Yeah, I was just hoping there's one section, it's
Yeah.
like, there's beautiful hedges and those firecracker plants. There's like this one section, it's like, you can just see in the back, it's not like a pretty pond or looking at, I can see the back of everybody's houses to the left. And I thought, what if they put a row of, 10 hedges there, it's going to kind of like fill it in. It
Well,
just
all I
looks
can
like
say,
there's such a menacing.
Angela, Chris will possibly check see what their proposal is and maybe get that, so he can get Julie to send it out to us. Is that
Yeah,
okay?
I'll go back and check as soon as we're done here.
Okay. So anybody else have anything? Otherwise, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, if who's ever listened in. Oh, boy.